Imagine, if you will, if everything was under the control of just a single individual. Imagine if everything was under the control of just you. Imagine just for a second if everything was controlled by you. What would we lose? Well, first off, everybody would be doing only what you want. What would they have to express themselves? Because what comes from self-control? Self-control is where you create from yourself and express to the world. But when you control others, you take from that creation. Because though you are one, and you might have brilliant ideas for the world, you might have a system that you want the world to work in, if you controlled all the people, you know what? They would never create of their own inspiration. Their own inspirations, their own design. They would never create their own devices or engineering or inspirations or lessons or teachings or videos or anything. They would only create what you wanted them to create. Now, if they only created what you wanted them to create, what creation is lost? How much creation is lost? A lot. But when you take control over another individual, they lose, we lose all the creation that individual could have created themselves. And my question is this: if you want these things so bad in this world, these creations that you need this control to create, why don't you just create them using self-control? Why don't you go out there and create those things that you want in this world, rather than trying to have another do it for you? Because when you have another do it for you, you live by request. And when you're living by request, you're not truly creating anything. You're asking for something. Can I have this? Can I have that? Can I have this? Please do this. Please do that. Do this. Do that. Do this. Which means that all you're really doing is begging your life into existence. Where, as if you were to be a master of your own self, truly a master of your own creation, you would create those things yourself, which you can do better than anyone else can do. But if you control another and have them create it for you, you know who has control over that creation truly? Not you. You have control over the creator maybe, but they still have control over the creation that you have had wanted. So now you are on the request side of that control. What happens when you lose that control over another? Just say you do. Say that you lose control over another that has created something in your life that you find that you use often or that you need. You lose control over this individual. No longer do you have that some entity or something doesn't want me to finish here. But what happens when you take control over another individual? We lose what totally to creation? We lose how much creation totally? We lose all that individual would have created of their own inspiration. You can guide somebody to create something, their own heart's desire, their own wish, their own dream. Then they are creating what they desire and creating great things for this world. But when you take control over another individual and only have them create what you want, what do we lose? We lose all that individual could have created for themselves. What they wanted in this world, that they could have shared with this world, their dreams, their hopes, and their aspirations. So what happens when one individual takes control over all others? Great need for creation. Because what is lost is creation. And what does that individual who controls all others be in truth? He is a beggar. He requests always of others, but never does for himself. And what happens to this beggar when he is dead? He no longer has these individuals around him to create for him. So what must he do? He must learn to create for himself. He lives in shackles. Shackles of need of other individuals to create for him. Is this a life you would choose for yourself? To always live in the request of others? Think about it. When you can create it yourself so easily, you can go out there and do and make your dream. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than others because of oppositions or things standing in the way. But what happens when you take control over another individual? We lose all the creation that that individual could have given. What happens when another individual takes complete control over you? We lose all the creation that you could have given to this world. So what is the purpose in controlling other individuals? Order? No, order is created by a common share. An order is say you share something with this world. As you share with this world, a multitude of people share in the same desire, the same creation, the same want or desire. That creates order. One controlling all others, that doesn't create order. That creates slavery and need. Because now what do we need? All the creations that those individuals would have created on their own. What might they have created? If you hadn't taken control over that other individual, I asked you, controller, what might they have created for this world that you might have shared in that might have been good for you? But instead, they created what you could have created yourself on your own. But and instead you live a life of what? Request. Give me this, give me that, I need this, I need that. Never doing for yourself, always weaker than your opponent. Look at how weak you truly are when you control other people to do what you want. I mean, all they have to do is say no to you and stop giving you what you want, and you're done. You no longer have any power. You no longer have any creation. You no longer have what you desire. So what happens when you say no to these people that try to control you? What happens when we all say no to this? What happens is that they lose power. They can't do anything. Because everyone has said no to them, and they have nothing they can do for themselves. Because what can they do alone? Now, leadership position is different. When one is called to lead, he does not control those around him, he guides them. What does he guide them to? To what they seek. Did the Old West pioneers, were they under the control of the guides that guided them across the countryside? No, they weren't. They could go astray if they wanted to, but if they did, they would be lost. Because the guide had already traveled those roads, knew how to survive, and knew how to help those people. And that was something that they shared, like an order. They shared in the desire for the protection that this individual offered. The guidance and knowledge that was offered by this individual. But could they say no to him and do their own thing and go on their own path? Yes, they could. They may not make it across the Old West, but what if your guide didn't lead you across the Old West? What if he guided you to troublesome spots? Spots where he thought there was great wealth for himself, and had you digging and digging and digging and digging like slaves to mine for his own wealth, for his own objective. So you got to be careful in who you choose to follow, because they do have a certain amount of control over you. But who do you choose to follow? Those that teach you and take you to where you commonly share and desire are those that are going to be in the greatest control of the guide. They're going to have the most of the control over the group because they know the knowledge and they have the knowledge to proceed and to lead you towards what you dream or what you seek or what you're going after. But what if that leader is just trying to force that control upon everyone? What do we lose? The desires of all those other individuals who wanted to do something else. Like those that wanted to stay in the east rather than travel to the west. If everyone were to travel west and follow all were to follow the guides, these guides that control, these controllers were to say everyone had to go west. The east would have been lost and forgotten because everyone would have been traveled west. There would have been no one left if all were to control that way. And what great need for land would then there be? A need to travel east because that was the open country then, if that were the case. But no, these people, these individuals chose to seek out to travel to the west. So they put themselves in a followership position. But they chose it. But when someone doesn't give you a choice and doesn't give the world a choice, what do we lose? What the other individuals might seek, what you might seek. If someone took control over you, what would you lose? What you might seek in life to do for yourself if they took complete control over you. And if you said no to someone that tried to take complete control over you, and so did everyone else, what does that controller truly have? Well, that depends upon the individual. Do they create this wondrous thing? Can they travel this path alone? Or do they need you to survive? So who is really dependent upon the fellowship? Is it those that follow? They have a certain dependency because this person has been knowledgeable and has done this before. But can they find their way on their own? Yes. But who needs those that follow? Is those that request in life and only request. They ask for everything and ask and ask and ask and never do for themselves. So what do they truly create? Nothing. What are they masters of? Not themselves. Not you, because you can always say no to them. They're not true masters at all, unless they are masters of beggary, of request, of making people do what they want. And what kind of individuals are those? Weak individuals. That's what kind of individuals they are. Do I ask you and tell you you have to do as I say? No. I show you a path. I tell you this is a possible way to get there. And it is your choice on whether or not you choose to follow or not to follow. And it will always be your choice with me, because I will not make myself dependent on you to accomplish my dreams and my goals. Because I will be a master of my own self, and I will be a master of that which I choose to lead people in. But what of those that are not masters at all, but just merely tell you what to do, how to live, and what to be? What do they take from our world? Creation. Because what can you create? What can other individuals create? If they choose to create it. Their desires, that's what they can create. And they go after their desires. Some leaders choose to help you find your desires. Some leaders aren't leaders, but merely beggars who want their own desires met at the cost of your own. Because they're too lazy to do it themselves. Or else they find it easier to have another do it for them. But who is in true control then? Not the one requesting, but the individuals creating for them. Because those are the individuals creating for them can always say what? No. Request denied. And then what do these super masterful, these masters of beggary do? They bitch and they moan and they scream and they send attacks at you and they try and force you to do what they want. But do you have to? No. Under distress, you might seem like you have to, but do you truly? No. No matter what happens, your choice is always your own. And it will always be represented, and I will always respect your choice when dealing with you. Me personally, Christopher David Clayton. Others will not, because I will not be dependent upon others to survive. Because I am a survivor. And I know full well that if I am dependent upon others to survive, they can always say no to me, or they might die, or they might move away. Then I no longer have what I need to survive. While these others that live on request to survive, to have power, if you want to call that power, are dependent upon who? I'll leave you with that to think about. Thank you for your time. Christopher David Clayton of the United Unified Belief.